This is News 8 Now, this morning.
Credibility is everything in law enforcement. If you cannot be recognized as a credible witness in court, you have nothing.
We can only imagine how many tragic and horrific scenes Sheriff Kramer responded to in 47 years of service. We do not know the reason for his decision, but we will always know what he meant to this community and what the community meant to him.
Once we're all have it all under one roof, with programming area, with bigger galleries, we can have more exhibits of different factions of local history, tell more stories about the region.
Good morning, everybody, and thanks for watching News 8 Now this morning. I'm Ken Kozorowski. That's Derek Sibley. It is Thursday, December 1st, 2022, and we're starting the month off, Derek, with some just frigid temperatures out there, man.
Yeah, indeed. I had to bundle up, Ken. So
it's a 3-sweatshirt weather kind of morning.
It's just one of those mornings that we're just going to have to, unfortunately, deal with and kind of get through it. But, hey, at least the silver lining, though, is that we're going to be above freezing, though, by the afternoon. So there's some good news there, Ken. But let's talk about our current conditions now. Yeah, it's cold if you're in Ladysmith. You're currently at 0 degrees. The further south you go, the temperatures do warm up here, but it really kind of depends on your location, though. 14 is the current temperature, though, in La Crosse. We have feel-like values into the single digits and teens this morning. It feels like it's 6 degrees in La Crosse now. When you factor in the wind speeds in Eau Claire, it feels like it's 8, and it feels like it's 3 degrees currently in Sparta. Got some clouds that are moving in from the west here this morning, and you can see City Cam 8 starting off rather quiet here for us, but we'll be looking at increasing clouds, though, as we head into the late morning hours. It's about around 11 o'clock that we start to see some clearing there, and temperatures will be warming up to about 27. Notice how we'll have that south-southeast winds there throughout the day as well, and that should help bump up temperatures at least into the mid-30s, along with the sunshine that we'll be seeing here. So the combination of south winds and daytime heating today, Ken, should allow us to be at least above the freezing mark here for most of us this afternoon.
I guess that's the saving grace today. Yep. All right, thanks, Derek. Let's get to some news this morning. The Viroqua mayor has filed 5 charges against Police Chief Richard Needfeld for insubordination, failing to report the harassment of a fellow officer, and lying to the public. According to the investigator, a former officer says his coworkers harassed him and continually called him twink, and the chief did nothing about it. Needfeld told the police commission he didn't know what it meant and that the officer didn't say he was uncomfortable. The mayor also accused the chief of communicating with the public without former Mayor Karen Mischel's authorization and lying to a citizen about the number of public meetings regarding the department's thin blue line logo. The mayor also accused Needfeld of labeling an officer under investigation in a database, which was inaccurate. Former Grafton Police Chief Charles Wenton conducted this investigation.
Credibility is everything in law enforcement. If you cannot be recognized as a credible witness in court, you have nothing.
Now, Needfeld is also accused of failing to follow the mayor's orders and failing to meet and create a report about traffic concerns. During his testimony, Needfeld denied each accusation. In the traffic report, for instance, he said he completed that task the best he could.
It wasn't I was doing it ill intent. I found another method, as even Chief Wenton says. Once you get an order, you might have to, find a way to find that solution. I found a different way to find that solution.
Needfeld also testified he was never intentionally untruthful when communicating with the public and says he did not disregard the mayor's orders in any case. The Eau Claire Police Department has ruled the death of Eau Claire County Sheriff Ron Kramer as a suicide. The 68-year-old died on September 13th, one day after his birthday. News 8 Now's Dua Israr explains how the law enforcement community is honoring Kramer's legacy by expanding mental health resources.
When a tragic event happens, we rely on first responders for support.
We can only imagine how many tragic and horrific scenes Sheriff Kramer responded to in 47 years of service.
But who supports the first responders?
We are no longer accepting the stressors of law enforcement as part of the job.
It's a question officers are asking after the death of Eau Claire County Sheriff Ron Kramer.
We are completely devastated by this painful tragedy.
On September 13th, Eau Claire County employees found Kramer's body at a riverbank in the town of Seymour.
The investigation determined Sheriff Ron Kramer died by suicide.
In the weeks leading up to his death, officers say Kramer was stressed and anxious.
We do not know the reason for his decision, but we will always know what he meant to this community and what the community meant to him.
While the community mourns, the department is taking steps to make sure no officer feels alone.
We have implemented yearly wellness visits for each staff member where they meet with a mental health professional. It's no longer acceptable for them to have to deal with it, get over it, take it home with them.
Kramer dedicated 47 years of his life to the department, 26 as sheriff.
We hope you finally remember Ron's loving demeanor, sense of humor, and that you carry those memories with you.
Co-workers call Kramer's death a great loss.
He was my boss, my mentor for over 21 years, and a friend.
One they will always carry with in their careers.
Sheriff Kramer and all that he was will not be forgotten.
Reporting in Eau Claire, the Westrar, News 8 Now.
And if you or someone you know is struggling with mental health, know that there is help. You can call the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline at 988. The La Crosse Police Department undergoes crisis intervention training every year. Now the department is offering that training to others. The first crisis intervention partner training began on Wednesday for area organizations and community members who may interact with people experiencing a crisis. Although it's important to train officers to handle crises, their uniform can sometimes intimidate the people they're trying to help. Officers say trained community members can help de-escalate stressful situations.
The La Crosse Police Department embraces that philosophy of community policing. It embraces the philosophy of building relationships before a crisis happens.
The department plans to hold partner trainings every year. The town of Campbell is one step closer to drilling a test well to find clean water. The town board approved a bid to drill a well to a lower water level and test it for PFAS. The water will also be tested for other possible contaminants. Town leaders say the drilling will begin within the next month.
We are very excited to find out if, in fact, this can potentially be a source of safe, long-term drinking water. So we would move past the interim, which is bottled water, and move forward into how we would engineer a plan for a safe, long-term water source.
La Crosse County approved spending $100,000 for that test drill project. The county will also spend $1.3 million for stormwater infrastructure. The grants through the American Rescue Plan Act will go to the towns of Campbell, Holland, Shelby, and Onalaska. Projects will include upgrading storm sewers, ditches, and residue control infrastructure to help protect homes from flooding. The La Crosse County Historical Society is in the early stages of designing a new museum. Employees say they are running out of storage at their current West Avenue office, and they want a new space to help the community learn more about the Coulee region's history.
Once we're all under one, have it all under one roof, with programming area, with bigger galleries, we can have more exhibits of different factions of local history, tell more stories about the region.
The Historical Society is still considering several locations, and they could break ground anywhere between 2 to 10 years from now. In the meantime, the city of La Crosse is asking people to salt smart and know the 3 S's: shovel, scatter, and switch. So shovel snow before it turns to ice, scatter salt so it's spread out, and switch from salt to sand once temperatures go below 15 degrees. The city is giving away free salt cups to people who take online surveys about salting habits. We've got a link on our website, news8000.com. Well, it's almost time to put those running shoes on. Starting today, distance runners can register for the La Crosse Marathon. The race is scheduled for Saturday, May 6th, and the marathon course will start in Sparta, the half marathon in West Salem, and the 5K in Riverside Park. All of those races will be finishing at Riverside Park. If your little ones are hoping to hear from the big man himself before Christmas morning, grab a pen and paper. Santa Claus's elves are setting up shop this holiday season with the City of La Crosse Parks, Recreation, and Forest Department. And if you mail a letter to Santa to them there, they'll not only guarantee it reaches the North Pole, jolly old St. Nick will also be able to send back a response. Just make sure the letter is postmarked by December 11th and address your letter just as it appears there on your screen. Now, if you're less inclined to be writing out a full letter, you can also email a letter to letterstosanta@cityoflacrosse.org. About a Winona tradition 34 years in the making. The 10 Days of Giving kicks off today to help food shelf programs at Winona Volunteer Services. The organization has collected more than 4 million pounds of food over the years, and financial donations can be made in person and online. We have a link with more info on news8000.com. Still ahead on your morning news, the U.S. had a better than expected economic third quarter. What helped contribute to that boost? And despite that slight boost in the economy, Americans have had a harder time applying for jobs. We'll find out why after the break. But for now, we're sending you to break with something to put the good in your morning. Lighting up Rockefeller Center. The Rockefeller Center Christmas tree lighting ceremony took place last night in New York City. This year's Norway spruce tree is from upstate New York and stands 82 feet tall. Got over 3 million crystals and more than 50,000 LED lights. Celebrities like Gwen Stefani, Blake Shelton, and the Muppets of Sesame Street made an appearance. A tree will be on every day from 6 a.m. to midnight and then for 24 hours on Christmas Day. It is now 6:10 a.m. on this Thursday morning. Don't go anywhere. More News 8 Now coming up after the break.
That was a live look there from CityCam 8. Overall quiet start, but a very cold one, though, that is, across much of the areas. Current temperature readings are into the single digits and teens, and it feels even colder than that, into the single digits when you factor in the wind speeds. 37 for the high today in both West Salem and Bangor, and to the north in Mindoro as well. Highs reaching 35 if you're in Westby today. Meanwhile, 34 today in Viroqua. Highs going to be reaching around 35 in Arcadia and 36 at Black River Falls today. It'll be 36 down south as well in Sparta. Highs reaching the low 30s today across much of our north zones. You can see the cloud cover here moving in across the Coulee region from the west, and that may affect things here this morning. Bus stop, though, looking mostly cloudy, temperatures at 13. Lunch hour looking sunny, temperatures at 30. But by the afternoon around dismissal, not only will it be sunny, but temperatures warming above the freezing mark. It will be 35 degrees by that point. Stay tuned. We'll have a check on your weather forecast that's still to come next in weather.
Well, tech layoffs continue to grow. DoorDash letting go over 1,200 employees. The delivery app CEO sent a memo to employees Wednesday that said the team grew too quickly during the pandemic. He said this was the most difficult change he's had to make in their almost 10-year history. He went on to say that most of their investments are paying off, but were not as rigorous as they should have been in managing team growth. Job seekers didn't have a lot of job opportunities to pursue in October, but the U.S. labor market still historically tight. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, there were 10.3 million openings in October. It's actually down from the 10.7 million jobs that were available in September. Areas seeing less openings included state and local government, as well as non-durable goods manufacturing. Now, the U.S. economy had a better than expected third quarter. According to the latest gross earnings report, GDP increased by an annualized rate of 2.9%. That's better than the first reading the government had last month. Analysts credit the U.S. consumer for that boost in economy. However, home prices dropped from September to August, which marks the third straight month that they had declined. Consumer Reports is now out with this year's most reliable vehicles. Naomi Ruckham shows us which brands made the top cut.
Well, it's quiet, that's for sure.
It's definitely quiet.
Automotive engineer Alex Nizak took us for a spin at the Consumer Reports test track in a Lexus, one of this year's most reliable brands. 4 out of the 5 top companies are based in Asia, with Toyota taking the #1 spot. Hybrids scored high, including the Toyota Corolla Hybrid, which is the most reliable vehicle overall. The Lexus NX was rated the top hybrid SUV. What makes it such a great car?
Toyota and Lexus have just been doing hybrids for so long now that they've got the technology really fleshed out.
If you're going with an SUV or a sedan, go with a hybrid right now, just because they're so much more dependable.
Deputy auto editor John Linkove says hybrids are more reliable than plug-in electric vehicles because many EVs are new.
They have growing pains. It's new technology, it's constantly being refined, it's a new build process because they're all almost brand new models. They're using new suppliers.
Large pickup trucks also hit some speed bumps. Less than half of the models landed an average rating or better.
They have had paint trim problems. They also do have some of the electric issues that many cars have, infotainment systems, window regulators, things like that.
Lincove says people shopping for a new car should do their research to find a reliable vehicle that also fits their needs.
Now, coming in last place for reliability, owners voted Mercedes-Benz as the least reliable car after reported problems with their dashboard screens.
Pretty quiet start here behind me from City Cam 8, but I gotta tell you, it is very cold though. Current conditions in La Crosse are at 14 degrees with those clear skies overhead, but check out the feel-like temperature of 6 degrees. That's because we're looking at a south-southeast wind at around 5 miles an hour to make it feel like it's even colder than the actual temperature. In Eau Claire, we're looking clear as well. Temperatures here at 8 degrees, a south-southeast wind at around 3 miles an hour. Visibility is looking good at around 10 miles. It's 5 degrees though in Sparta now, 3 in Black River Falls, 11 degrees currently in Viroqua, and a 14-degree temperature reading in Winona this morning. About 10 to 20 degrees colder here, as you can see, across the Coulee region than the last 24 hours, with feel-like temperatures. Pretty much a lot of us dealing with single digits, a couple of us only into the teens, but it's really cold no matter where you are. Looking at some cloudy weather that continues to move in from the west here this morning, and we'll continue to see those clouds increase at least through around the 7 o'clock hour or so before turning sunny as we head towards noon today, and then temperatures warm above the freezing mark by 4 o'clock. Temperatures will hit around 35 by then, and then this evening 32 degrees. So we're right back at the freezing mark there with mostly clear skies as we head into the early evening hours. 36 will be the high today in Winona. Will be 35 in La Crosse today. Highs reaching the freezing mark of 32. Below freezing if you're in Ladysmith at 30. Highs reaching 35 if you're in Viroqua this afternoon. And you'll see the clouds here move in from the west here today, but clearing out by the 11 o'clock hour, and that south wind takes over to help keep us a little bit warmer here today. A few clouds moving across our northern tier as we head into the early evening, and that will probably continue into the overnight hours, while the rest of us will continue to remain under the influence of that south wind and also remain clear here as well. If we widen out the view though, I do want to show you this next storm system developing to our west, which is expected to move through the Coulee region as we head into late tomorrow afternoon through the evening. This could also bring us a slight chance of showers out ahead of it. Looks like the snowy weather though is going to stay to the north, but the cold air that exists behind the front is going to move in across all of the areas. So we'll be looking at some colder temperatures, also wind chills here becoming a concern as we head into Friday night and well into the day on Saturday. But if you check out Saturday afternoon and evening, things though are looking good, nice and clear there. Let's take a look now at your 8-day forecast, and you'll see temperatures will drop behind that front as we head into Saturday. So after a mild day here tomorrow with highs in the 40s, we're going to go drop into the 20s for Saturday for the high, and then we're back in the 30s for Sunday. Slight chance of snow on Monday from our next system moving in with a high of 36, and then we're cold again Tuesday and Wednesday as highs will then drop back into the 20s. Hey, don't forget you can also download our fantastic First Alert weather app. It's free on the Google Play or Apple App Store. You get current conditions as well as your 8-day forecast right there on your fingertips. Stay with us though. We're back with much more news and weather still to come right here on News 8 Now this morning, but we're sending you to break with a look at what happened on this day in history for December 1st. Cloudy weather conditions continue to move in across the Coulee region from the west this morning, and our current temperatures are looking like this, mainly into the teens and single digits, with currently 8 degrees now in Eau Claire, 14, a little bit warmer though down south in La Crosse. Feel like temperatures mainly into the teens and single digits here this morning. Dog walking conditions mostly cloudy for the morning. Lots of sunshine though arrives this afternoon, and that should help warm us up here a bit for the walking conditions too. Mostly clear skies though heading into the early evening hours. We'll have a check on your commute forecast. It's coming up next in weather.
Welcome to the Blitz. Well, it was a big night for both UWL basketball squads. We'll start with the women's team. The Eagles are a perfect 8-0 on the season so far, but their biggest challenge yet coming last night at home against 9th-ranked Whitewater. Conference opener at Mitchell Hall. Eagles hosting the Warhawks. Pick it up second quarter. Eagles down 4. Nice cut to the basket by Lauren Milne for the finish. She had a team high 14. It's a 2-point game, but the Warhawks red hot from deep. Maggie Trouch in the corner, switches home to 3. Then it's Trouch, this time from the top of the key. Same result, the game high 20 points on the night. Then Casey Carollo joining the party. Warhawks go up 9 Eagles trying to claw back. It's the Aquinas grad Kaya Steiner leading the charge. Nice spin, drive, score off the glass. That cuts it back to 4. UWL still fighting back. Kylie Meeker in the lane. Fadeaway J is money. Eagles down 3 at the break, but second half, Whitewater's Abby Belshner posting up, using the window for the finish. Eagles put up a fight at home, but they fall for the first time this season, 58-53. The Viterbo women's basketball team looking for its second win of the season last night, hosting Martin Luther. Third quarter, Central grad catching fire. Sophie Leinfelder knocks down the 3. Viterbo up 10, it's 43-33. Then V-Hawks on the break. Nice find here. Leinfelder throws it up. And watch this friendly roll. She gets it. The senior finishes with 9 points on the night. V-Hawks up 12. Knights fighting back on the other end. Jordan Heckendorf gets the runner in the lane to fall. That cuts it back to 11, with the V-Hawks flying away with this one. Leinfelder, nice inbounds pass to Emily McCurdy for the lay-in. It's 55-45. Then it's McCurdy in trouble, but she kicks it to the corner, and the Luther grad, Caitlin Kennedy, buries the 3. 3 of her team-high 15 points. V-Hawks get their second win of the season. They win this one 89-64. Bucks in the Big Apple last night taking on the Knicks. Picked this one up in the 4th tight game. Milwaukee up 2. Grayson Allen driving, scooping, and scoring off the glass. Bucks go up 103-99. Under 2 to go now. Jalen Brunson is going to stop, pull up, and hit it off the window. That's back to 2 now. Knicks would tie the game at 103, but under a minute to play, Allen this time hits the dagger. His only 3 of the night, but it was a big one. Bucks hold on in New York. They get the win 109-103. That'll do it for the Blitz. We'll see you tonight.
News breaking overnight, the French baguette has been given World Heritage status. UNESCO describes the expertise behind the French bread as an integral part of human culture. French President Emmanuel Macron has previously championed the baguette, saying he wants it to be protected. He now has his way. The delicious doughy delicacy joins other food like the Neapolitan pizza and Arabic coffee on UNESCO's list of irreplaceable cultural heritage. Tonight, the Bidens are scheduled to host their first state dinner as President and First Lady. French President Macron and his wife are in Washington today. Now, the relationship between the longtime allies grew tense last year after Australia abandoned a submarine project with France to partner with the U.S. and U.K. More recently, Macron has criticized the Buy American provisions of the now passed Inflation Reduction Act. House Democrats have made history. They chose current caucus chair Hakeem Jeffries to succeed Speaker Nancy Pelosi as House Minority Leader. The New York Democrat will be the first black person ever to lead a major party in the House or the Senate. He will oversee a Democratic minority in 2023. Deadly drug misuse and alcohol abuse appear to be on the rise among older Americans. According to 2 new reports released by the CDC, death rates from drug overdoses among adults 65 and older have tripled in the past 2 decades, increasing more among men than women between 2000 and 2020. Men also had higher rates of alcohol-induced deaths between 2019 and 2020. Researchers did not analyze what factors could be driving the increases, but say it's not unreasonable to think that the forces affecting younger people are also affecting people 65 and older. Wednesday, thousands of Minnesota nurses voted whether or not to hit the picket line for the 2nd time this year. Barrett Leone joins us from the Minnesota Nurses Association headquarters, where nurses from hospitals around the metro gathered to share why they believe this moment is so critical.
I'm at one of the many polling places for Minnesota nurses today, the MNA headquarters. Up to 15,000 nurses could be voting on this strike authorization today. Back in September, thousands of nurses went on a 3-day strike citing unfair labor practices. And now union nurses say these issues have only gotten worse and they still have yet to reach a contract agreement. In order to strike, at least 2/3 of the vote needs to be in favor. And if it's approved, healthcare workers could be walking off the job in a matter of 10 days. Nurses on the front line say these last few years have been brutal and change is needed to survive.
Our hospital is on life support. We need change. We need improved staffing. We need our leaders who claim to value us to prove it. Our patients and families deserve it, and we, the nurses, deserve it.
We are doing this so that when you come to a Minnesota hospital, you can expect the quality care that used to exist.
We've heard from several hospital groups regarding today's vote. Alina sent us a statement reading in part, quote, "An agreement can only be reached by being at the bargaining table together, and that a strike or threat of strike creates an unnecessary distraction for our employees and the communities we serve." Twin Cities Hospital Group says in part, quote, "Our nurses continue to be valued partners in care, and this principle is central to who we are as health systems, and it extends to all our work in union negotiations." Also noting that the hospital group has offered the highest wage increase in more than 15 years to their nurses. We should know the final tally of the vote by 11 p.m. tonight. Polling closes at 10.
In the meantime, a snowy day turned into a day of fun for some kids at a Twin Cities hospice home. Crescent Cove is a place where families find help near the end of life. The local police department donated sleds for the kids to enjoy both in the halls and outside. The area's deputy fire marshal says those sleds could actually also save lives in an emergency situation.
We would be able to move the kids to the sleds. The emergency responders, police, fire, even staff would be able to come around the backside of the building and move them to a safer area.
Yeah, since most of those kids are wheelchair bound, the sleds would help them escape faster during snowy months in case of emergency. So until the sleds are needed for safety, they'll just be used for some smiles. Every year in office, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz has proposed massive K-12 spending bills, and every year his proposals have been shot down by the Republican-led legislature. But with DFL support this year, some things could change. Esme Murphy caught up with the governor at a middle school to find out what programs he'd like to see moving forward.
Governor Tim Walz listened to a serenade from Lake Middle School's 8th grade orchestra. Talking with students, he said he understands the last few years have been tough for so many reasons, including staffing.
Is it hard to get substitute teachers? Do you see them when they come?
This year, the governor has a rare legislative trifecta. Democrats control the House, Senate, and governor's office. Walz, for now, is not giving out specifics of what he will propose for education, but we can get a clue from a $5 billion bill he proposed last January. That proposal called for funding for 6,000 new pre-K spots, millions for childcare, and free breakfast and lunch for all K-12 students, regardless of income. Walz says he is talking about these issues with the new DFL leadership.
Now is the time to be big on this, to not just tread water, to think about ways that we can provide that security of funding and resources.
At a roundtable with students and in discussions with educators, Walz says he wants resources for all public schools increased.
It gets really hard for school administrators when the money gets tight and the state doesn't fund the way they need to.
The last time the DFL had a legislative trifecta was back in 2014 when the legislature passed all-day kindergarten. It was actually considered very controversial back then, but as of now, it is widely accepted by most Minnesota families. Esme Murphy, WCCO 4 News, Woodbury.
All right, thanks very much, Esme. It will be a very interesting legislative term for sure. Meanwhile, in Wisconsin, the man convicted of killing 6 people during the Waukesha Christmas Parade is beginning the appeal process. Darrell Brooks filed a notice of intent on Monday for post-conviction relief. According to the handwritten document, Brooks wants new representation from the Public Defender's Office. Brooks is serving 6 consecutive life sentences. While the judge who sentenced Brooks to prison running now for a spot on the Wisconsin State Supreme Court. Judge Jennifer Dorow made the announcement in a Waukesha courtroom on Wednesday, where she spoke about her background working for the district attorney's office and as a defense attorney. Dorow says she wants to bring a brand of judicial conservatism to the Supreme Court.
We must replace Justice Roggensack with a judicial conservative who will fairly and faithfully apply the law as written to the cases, to the facts of the cases that come before the court.
Dorow enters the race with 3 other candidates, the primary set for February, and the top 2 vote getters will advance to April's general election. Local first graders are learning about local government with the help of La Crosse Mayor Mitch Reynolds. The mayor met kids at Northwoods International School. Students there are learning about what people like the president, the governor, and the mayor do every day. And students came prepared for the mayor's visit.
Well, the kids have been really excited. They have been thinking of really important questions that, not just questions like, what do you do at your job, but what can kids do to help you with your job?
The students asked about how they can help keep the city clean, help people who don't have a home, and of course, how city parks are built. They will use what they learned to create some t-shirts showing how everyone can help create positive changes in the city. The Sparta Area School District now officially has an official superintendent. Sam Russ was named as interim superintendent back in July after former superintendent Amy Van Duren resigned following a harassment investigation. Prior to that, Russ served as the Sparta High School principal. The board gave Russ a contract through June of 2025. And a friendly reminder that News 8 Now is having its 3rd annual Joy of Sharing donation drive tomorrow, December 2nd at the Onalaska Festival of Foods. We are collecting non-perishable food items, new toys, and money for the Hunger Task Force, Toys for Tots, and Salvation Army. You can stop by anytime between 5 a.m. Friday and 6:30 p.m. to make your donation, and every donation is going to be greatly appreciated.
Well, we're starting to watch some of the clouds that continue to increase across the area from the west, and that is making it pretty cloudy start here to the morning after what was just a little bit of a clearer start, but those clouds increasing though. Temperatures at 5 degrees currently if you're in Sparta. It's 4 in Black River Falls, and the temperatures in Eau Claire are measuring at 8 degrees. 14 is the current temperature reading in La Crosse. Today's forecast 35 degrees, partly cloudy and slightly chilly out there. South winds at around 10 to 20 miles an hour. For tonight, we drop down to 29 degrees. Overall, that's a little seasonable though to say. Partly cloudy skies and southwest winds at around 10 to 20 miles an hour. So for your drivecast here this morning, we're going to start mostly cloudy and then we'll start to turn sunnier as we head toward the lunch hour. And then by this evening, only a couple of clouds, overall mostly clear, but pretty good driving conditions here today for us to work with. But stay tuned, we'll have another check on your full weather forecast and we'll talk about how the rest of the week and also weekend here is shaping out. Ken?
All right, thanks very much, Derek. It is just about 6:40 a.m. on this Thursday, December 1st. The 90s are back after a long-awaited spin-off of a Wisconsin-based TV show that will finally come to Netflix. That and more coming up in your Buzz Report.
Overall, a pretty quiet start there from City Cam 8, and once the sun rises, you'll be able to see that skies are looking a little cloudy out there currently. Temperatures in La Crosse are at 14 degrees. We do have a wind speed here around 5 miles an hour out of the south-southeast. That's making our feel-like temperature there at the top at 6. So it feels like it's 6 degrees as you step out the door this morning. Make sure to bundle up out there if you are in La Crosse. And same here for you in Eau Claire. It's currently at 8 degrees this morning with mainly clear skies here. South-southeast winds at around 3 miles an hour. Check out the current temperature. Everywhere else it's 4 in Black River Falls, 9 degrees in Volkfield, 7 is the temperature to the east in Sparta. We're currently at 14 degrees if you're in Winona. Overall, from the past 24 hours, this is a huge drop in temperatures, at least by about 10 to 20 degrees here or so across the area. And our feel-like temperatures are measuring well into those single digits here. A couple of us like Winona at 14. It feels like a little bit warmer there. And we got feel-like temperatures in the 15 degree ranges, both in Prairie du Chien and Bosquebel, but a lot of us here into the single digits though. You can see clouds that continue to move in across the Coulee region from the west, and things will remain on the mainly cloudy side here of things as we head through that 7 o'clock hour with temperatures at around 13. We start to turn sunny though by around noon today, temperatures at 13, and then mostly sunny, 35 degrees around 4, and then turning mostly clear as we head into the evening, and then temperatures drop to around the freezing mark of 32 degrees. Highs today in La Crosse picking up to 35. 32 today if you're in Eau Claire, highs reaching 36 though if you're in Sparta, and same story here in Black River Falls. Looking at a few clouds that continue to move in across the area from the west, but by late this morning into the early afternoon, most of that should clear out, and that south wind will be in our favor here to work with throughout the day. A few clouds, though, are possible as we head into the evening, mainly off towards the north, and that cloud cover to the north may stay around here as we head throughout the the overnight hours, but the south wind here for the rest of us will continue to take place. If we widen out the view, you can see this next storm system back towards the west of us. that system is going to be moving our way. Could even bring us a slight chance of a rain shower here out ahead of the system as we head into later in the day tomorrow. Behind it, though, we are going to be looking at some cold air that will funnel in here from the west behind it. That's going to bring down our temperatures and our wind chills yet again as we head into tomorrow night and through most of the day on Saturday here too. But the good news for Saturday is that, yeah, it will be cold, but at least skies will be looking at least our skies will be looking mainly sunny. Let's take a look now at your 8-day forecast, and you can see that we will be looking at temperatures warming up into the 40s though on Friday. Tomorrow out ahead of that system moving in, and behind it we drop down into the 20s for your Saturday, looking a little bit chilly as the wind speeds here pick up from that system. And then Sunday we warm up to 36 degrees, and the same can be said for Monday. Slight chance of snow, and then we're back in the 20s again for our highs on Tuesday and Wednesday, with lows mainly into the teens and 20s.
In our Buzz Report this morning, Apple Music released its 2022 Global Song Chart, and Stay by The Kid Laroi and Justin Bieber topped the list. That song was #1 for 51 straight days.
Get out.
See you soon.
Get out.
Don't be a stranger.
Get out.
Extra icing.
That was mine.
We never locked the sliding door.
We're getting our first look at scenes from That 90s Show, the long-awaited spin-off to the hit sitcom That 70s Show. Netflix released a teaser trailer that features Deborah Jo Rupp and Kurtwood Smith returning to their beloved roles as Kitty and Red, this time as grandparents, along with a new generation of teens. That 90s Show premieres in January. And there's a little more time to hear the music of the night. The Phantom of the Opera was set to close in February, but because of increased demand for tickets, Broadway's longest-running show going to be sticking around for 8 more weeks. The curtain will go down for the last time on April 16th. It is 6:47 a.m. We are heading to break with today's Look Who's 8.
That's right, Ken. We got a couple of birthdays here to celebrate. First on the list is Taylin, and Taylin is turning 8 months today. She is a happy baby who loves food and cuddling with parents.
Oh, that's awesome. And a happy 8th birthday to Megan. She is a bright, creative girl who loves ballet, art, and playing with her dogs, Freddie and Gracie.
Well, if you know a special someone that is turning 8 months, 8 years, 18, 80, or 88 years old soon, we'd love to feature them here.
Yep, just upload their photo to our website, news8000.com, and look for the Submit Pictures button under the Home tab on our website. All right, just turned 6:48 this Thursday morning, but stay with us. We have everything you need to know today in 5 minutes or less. Your morning news now, coming up next. Time for your morning news now. Eau Claire law enforcement continues to mourn the loss of Sheriff Ron Kramer. After a 2-month investigation, the Sheriff's Department said on Wednesday Kramer died by suicide. The department says Kramer's death is a reminder that first responders also need someone to reach out to. Back on September 13th, Eau Claire County employees found Kramer at a riverbank in the town of Seymour. In the weeks leading up to his death, officers say Kramer was stressed and anxious. Captain Corey Shalinski says Kramer was stressed because of his job and health.
We can only imagine how many tragic and horrific scenes Sheriff Kramer responded to in 47 years of service. We do not know the reason for his decision, but we will always know what he meant to this community and what the community meant to him.
Kramer joined the department in 1975 as a reserve deputy. He served as sheriff for 26 years. Going forward, the Eau Claire law enforcement community will be requiring officers to take part in mandatory one-on-one meetings with a mental health professional. The department says no officer should have to handle trauma on their own. The Viroqua mayor filed 5 charges against Police Chief Richard Needfeld for insubordination, failing to report the harassment of a fellow officer, and lying to the public. According to the investigator, a former officer says he was harassed and the chief did nothing about it. The mayor also accused the chief of communicating with the public without former Mayor Karen Mitchell's authorization and lying to a citizen about the number of public meetings regarding the department's thin blue line logo. The mayor also accused Needfeld of labeling an officer under investigation in a database, which was inaccurate. The town of Campbell is one step closer to drilling a test well to find clean water. The town board approved a bid to drill a well to a lower aquifer and test that for PFAS. The water will also be tested for other possible contaminants. La Crosse County approved spending $100,000 for that test drill project. Town leaders say that drilling will begin within the next month. Nurses in Minnesota decide on whether or not to go on strike later today. On Wednesday night, nurses voted on what they call a potential unfair labor practice strike at 16 hospitals in the Twin Cities, Twin Ports, and 2 harbors. They say hospital CEOs refused to settle fair contracts with 15,000 nurses who are fighting to put patients before profits. According to the president of the Nurses Association, they never wanted to get to that point.
When we came back from our last strike in September, we hoped our hospital executives would hear us about the urgency of the crisis in our hospitals. But since then, things have gotten worse and not better.
And according to the MNA's official website, they represent over 94 hospitals.
Temperatures this morning are well into the teens out there, so make sure to grab that winter jacket. But we will be looking at decreasing clouds leading to increasing sunshine, though, and also a south wind to help us out, too. That should warm temperatures above the freezing mark, especially later this afternoon around 3 o'clock, 35 degrees and a little warmer today.
I'm just waiting for that afternoon hour. Thanks, Derek. La Crosse County will spend $1.3 million for stormwater infrastructure. The grants funded by the American Rescue Plan Act will go to the towns of Campbell, Holland, Shelby, and Onalaska. Projects will include upgrading storm sewers, ditches, and sediment control infrastructure to try and help protect homes from flooding. In the meantime, the city of La Crosse is asking people to salt smart and know the 3 S's: shovel, scatter, and switch. So shovel snow before it turns to ice, scatter salt so it's also spread out, and switch from salt to sand once temperatures get below 15 degrees. The city is giving away free salt cups to people who take online surveys about their salting habits. We have a link with more information on our website, news8000.com. And if your little ones are hoping to hear from the big man himself before Christmas morning, grab a pen and paper. Santa Claus's elves are setting up shop this holiday season with the City of La Crosse Parks, Recreation, and Forest Department. If you mail a letter to Santa to them there, they'll not only guarantee it reaches the North Pole, jolly old St. Nick will be able to send back a response. So just make sure the letter is postmarked by December 11th and address your letter just like that as what you see on your screen. And if you're not as old school, you can also email a letter to letterstosanta@cityoflacrosse.org. And a reminder, News 8 Now's 3rd annual Joy of Sharing donation drive is this Friday, December 2nd at the Onalaska Festival of Foods. We'll get to Derek in a second. We're collecting non-perishable food items, new toys, and money for the Hunger Task Force, Toys for Tots, and Salvation Army. You can stop by between 5 a.m. Friday and 6:30 p.m. to drop off that donation. Time for weather now.
We just couldn't wait to get to this forecast today, Ken. It's going to be a little cold out there, but hey, at least the afternoon looks much better. 35 degrees, and then we're at 44 for tomorrow, so a little bit mild there. Slight chance of a rain shower for the Joy of Sharing event. We'll keep our eyes on that, though. We're going to start off the weekend looking a little cold there, Ken. 26 degrees, and then 36 for Sunday, though. It's a little warmer.
Okay, not too bad.
Kind of back and forth, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's an interesting week for sure.
Yeah.
Well, don't forget to keep up with the news of the day on news8000.com, our News 8000 app, First Alert Weather app. We'll have the latest updates to today's top stories on News 8 Now at noon. That's Derek Sibley. I'm Ken Kozrowski. Have a great day.